So for today, we're going to dive into the BMW. This is the one that it's running and driving, doing everything that we need it to do. We're just going to start trying to make it even better. This is the one we drive from time to time just to get around while we're still working on the other two. But with that, one of the issues that we're going to try to make a little better is when it's idling, it doesn't, like the RPMs are rock steady at like 600, 650, somewhere in there. So we don't have any fluctuating RPMs, but what we do have is just this little perceptible, I don't know, shimmy kind of thing that happens. Nothing too big, but we just want to try to address it. We've done some research. We're going to clean out the idle control valve while we're in here doing all this stuff too. But the other thing we're going to do is the fuel injectors. So we're going to get down in here and get down into the fuel injector rail there. That's hard to see, but we'll get down in there, pull those things out, put some new ones in that we got off of FCP Euro, and try to see if that helps this thing just run even smoother. It runs good, but we just want to try to make it the best we can. So that's what we're going to do. Here's our box over here, not the big one, that's for the Porsche, but this box here, and we've got our new injectors. These are Bosch brand. Well, there you go. Let's see if I can find that sucker now in here. Where'd it go? There it is. All right, just gonna keep it real here. So anyway, here's the new ones, brand new. We've looked at them, so we're gonna go ahead and get the old ones out, see what they look like. One of the previous owners, we had some documentation, they put rebuilt ones in back in 2017, but we're hearing some clicking as it's running and things like that. So we're just gonna go ahead and change them and see what that does. Hopefully it'll fix it. The first thing we're gonna do, it's not part of the injectors at all, but while we're in here, this was a manual conversion car. So what we have here is this the kick down cable that you can see runs up here and then ties in to the throttle body there. And we don't need it anymore. And as you can see, it bunches up right here like this because there's nothing pulling the other end of it anymore. So we're gonna take that off and get that out of the way. So it's pretty simple. I already broke it loose, but there's a there and there. Pop this off of this end once we get the slack out and all, and then we'll just get rid of it and put it in the parts box.
So starting to disconnect everything so we can get to the fuel rail that's under there, or under this intake right here. It's like right there. You can't really see it on the camera that well, but this piece here already took off. Disconnected this hose from the fuel pressure regulator, and then we'll have to disconnect that side, and then we got that hose and that hose. And off the videos I've seen to figure out what we're doing, a lot of people have to take off the valve cover, and I would like to not have to do that, but we might still need to. But just gonna start removing the rest of the stuff and we'll get back to that. Now we removed this hose, which goes like back over the fuel rail, and we disconnect it just in case we need some extra room. And then this hose, you can kind of see the connection right there. That goes to the fuel rail. Just connected that, or disconnected that, and now all we have is that bolt there, or there's two bolts over there, but you can only see one. And those two bolts there, and we can start trying to pull it out, and hopefully that's successful. We've got everything off now, and we're just trying to now get the fuel rail off. Can't really see, or you can kind of see now, but we got those bolts off. Got these bolts off on this side, two on this side, two on the right side. But this third one here, that's like right there almost, I dropped it. So that's like on the intake, it seems like. So hopefully we'll be able to get that out easier, because we couldn't get it out now. We tried to use like a little magnet thing, and we're hoping after we get the fuel rail out, it'll be able to come out a little easier. And we don't know if you can really mix up these fuel injectors that much, but we got number one, we're gonna put tape on all these. They're pretty easy to disconnect these wires from them, Like there's a fuel injector. You said you just push down and then pull up?
You just push in like that. You push that thing goes in like that, and it lets it out.
So push a little metal piece in right there, and then just pull it out. It came out pretty easy. And so we're gonna get all those off, label them, and then hopefully be able to pull the fuel rail out without taking off the valve cover. And then after that, hopefully be able to get this bolt back. Now we got all the wires to the fuel injectors labeled. And so now, so you can see the fuel injector is still in there. Hopefully we'll be able to pull this out, because a lot of people have to take the valve cover off. And it'll probably be even easier if you could take the intake off, but that's a little too much stuff, and we're trying to do this the easiest way. And we'll get to trying to pull this out now. You can kind of see we have given up on just trying to pull it out without removing as much stuff. Now we got my valves open. And if you guys see anything wrong in there, please tell me, but it looks all right to me. Looking a little closer at this, it looks like this broke or something, like right there. I don't even know how that would break, because that's like a big old solid piece of metal. It seems like it was repaired somehow, and then kind of like shaped somewhat right. There's no noise coming from the valves, really. I mean, there's a lot of noise coming from these fuel injectors, like very loud clicking. But I was even like putting my ear right next to the valves, and it was not the valves. But if I don't think this would be too big of an issue. But I don't know if it is an issue. Tell us. But just showing you guys that. But now we're gonna try to get this fuel rail and fuel injectors out. Got the fuel rail out, and we've been questioning. We think it's gonna work, but see, these ones have like a tip on them, and they were changed in 2017 with like remanufactured injectors. And we got these from FCP Euro. They're Bosch fuel injectors. It says they'll fit them, and so it's not like some random no-name injector. And it says it'll fit this, so we assume it'll fit. Even like we're just thinking that one has a tip, one doesn't have a tip. And if you look it up, a lot of them have tips on them. But
we're just gonna see the old one is very round in the middle, and then these are much skinnier.
Yeah, but I don't know if that seals here. I assume it only seals at the O-ring.
Yeah, it only seals down here at the O-ring, and then it seals at the top. The top all looks exactly the same. It's just this piece is big and fat. And you can see, even though they were done in 2017, they're already rusty and beat up. And then you got this orange gas, or this black gasket right down here at the bottom, just below the orange, which is the same gaskets. So the gaskets will seal. It looks like it'll work. They're just different, but the new ones are supposed to be brand new, not remanufactured.
So we'll put these back on, put it back in the car, and see if it runs. So we got all the new injectors on. Here's all the old ones laid out. And these clips, you gotta put them on each side, just so you know where they go. Not this bottom lip, but the one that's like right on the line of the fuel rail. They go right there, and they have like, they just kind of like clip around it. You just push them on. They're not too difficult to get on, but right there is where they go in that little groove. So we got the fuel rail in now, and like a video that we're watching, the guy had to like put it in, plug everything in, and then he put the valve cover back on to like, and used a screwdriver to like pry against the fuel rail to push it the rest of the way in. Ours got in before we put the fuel rail, or the valve cover back on, and so our fuel rail is like all pushed in right. So we put the bolts on, those two, and those two you can barely see. And I just hand tightened all the valve cover bolts. We're gonna tighten that, and then we should just have wires, and then that hose right there that just goes there, this big hose that just goes here, and then this little hose that goes to that thing, that hose that goes to that thing. And we should be completely back and everything right. And then we'll see if it starts and runs any better. So as you can see, we are done and we've got everything back together. And so fuel injectors, plugging them back in, kind of difficult. And one kind of big tip if you're doing this is make sure when you put I'll do it before you put your fuel rail back in, is make sure your new injectors are angled about the same way as the old injectors, because the wires are kind of short, and especially on this left side, you have to wiggle around two different, like this hose and then this big hose, and then get the wires through. So pretty difficult. I mean, like the 6-cylinder, first cylinder, and even second cylinder are pretty easy. But I would just say make sure your fuel injectors, like where you plug them in, is lined up right. But other than that, we got valve cover tightened back down. Got this little bracket back in. All the hoses are tight. There. This hose doesn't have anything holding it. It just is on there. That part is back on. And I mean, as long as we're not forgetting anything, everything is back together. I mean, we got the spark plug things back bolted on. So it should be good to go. Now we just gotta hope nothing terrible goes wrong with the fuel injectors. But we're done, kind of. Got the engine running. I wasn't videoing because I was trying to make sure there was no leaks in anything while my dad was starting it. But there's clicking, but as far as I know, there's supposed to be clicking. And that's not from the valve, it's definitely from a fuel injector. But, like, no, it looks good. I think we got everything back. You come back here. Well, I think that's just water. That's just water. We're good. But I mean, I hope so. Now, it doesn't smell like fuel, and I don't really want to taste it. But this was sitting outside like yesterday, and it's been sitting outside for a while, so that's probably just some water coming out. It's cold, it's not warm, or it's like room temperature, but it wasn't smoking before. That's like a lot of water. It's just water. My dad said if it's slippery, then it has some antifreeze in it, but it's not slippery, so that's just leftover water. Nothing to be worried about. And it's still running good. It still has like that slight thing, but I feel like it's not as aggressive. But maybe it's not a problem at all, or it's something to do with like mass airflow sensor or idle control valve or something like that. But it's running good, no leaks. I think we're good to go.